I wasn't planning on buying anything that day. It was one of those cloudy mornings in Phoenix, where the air feels thick, like something's about to go down. I had no expectations, just coffee in my left hand, scrolling auction listings on my phone, trying to shake off the thought that I hadn't made a big find in weeks. But then, a new listing popped up, one that wasn't there 5 minutes earlier. A unit with no photos, just a one-liner description, former government property. All contents unclaimed. Buyer assumes liability. That was it. The location. An old, half-abandoned storage facility just outside of town. Sand blown, rusted out, forgotten. Most would scroll past. I didn't. The opening bid was $600. Kind of high for something completely blind. No photos, no list of contents, no preview. But the phrase, former government property, stuck in my mind like a splinter. I don't know what possessed me to place that bid, but I did. And I won. When I pulled into the lot the next morning, something felt off. Not wrong, but different. The air was dead silent. No birds, no wind, no nearby cars. Just rows of red roll-up doors and my own footsteps on the cracked concrete. Unit 314. That was mine. The lock was heavy-duty. Way more than usual. Not your typical disc lock or padlock. This thing looked military-grade. I had to use an angle grinder to cut through it. Sparks flying, the buzz echoing through the empty lot. And then, the door creaked upward, slow and stiff. Dust billowed out, hitting the sunlight like fog. I took a step back, heart racing, hand tightening on my flashlight. Inside, darkness, pitch black. The sun barely reached inside, but something large sat in the back, covered in a tarp. I walked in slowly. The air smelled metallic, old metal, old, like a machine that hadn't run in decades. I kicked aside some crates near the entrance, standard wood ones, empty, labels half-ripped, PWRCNTL, classified, ordnance. Then I reached the tarp, and that's when it hit me. Whatever was under it wasn't a car. It wasn't furniture. It had angles, panels, vents, antennas. I pulled the tarp off fast. What I saw underneath stopped me cold. A low-profile, all-black vehicle. Not a car. More like an armored pod. It looked like it had wheels, but they were tucked deep under its frame. The body was angular, matte black, and in the center, etched into the side, were these words, Property of the United States Army, Prototype 7B, do not deploy. What the hell? This thing looked straight out of a video game, like something you'd expect in a futuristic military sim. There was no ignition, no steering wheel, just panels, screens, a built-in console, and wires hanging down. I backed up and took out my phone. No signal. Of course. I explored the rest of the unit. More crates. One of them was bolted shut. Another contained a thick binder labeled, Operations Log, redacted. I flipped through it. Pages blacked out. Entire paragraphs missing. But some words were still visible. Tested at high-altitude conditions. Self-guiding chassis functional. Remote override unstable. Subject recovery unsuccessful. Terminated. I don't know what subject meant, and I'm not sure I want to. That's when I heard the click. A mechanical one. From inside the vehicle. I froze. A soft whirring started. One of the screens lit up, faint blue glow piercing the dark. Then a voice. A synthesized female voice. Monotone. Prototype 7B initiating diagnostics. Awaiting authentication. I didn't move. The screen flashed again. Error. Connection lost. Switching to local protocol. That was enough for me. I grabbed the binder, 2 of the crates, and backed out of the unit. The door slammed shut behind me, like it was alive. I stood there in the middle of the storage lot, sweating, heart pounding, adrenaline pumping harder than it had in years. This wasn't a score. This was something else. Something I wasn't supposed to find. Later that night, I went back to the binder. It was hard to piece things together with all the redactions. But here's what I think I figured out. Prototype 7B was part of an autonomous battlefield recon program. It was designed to operate with no human inside, fully remote, or fully AI-guided. It had thermal vision, self-repair capability, and something called adaptive threat response, which I still don't understand. And it had only been tested once, in a desert zone, not far from here. The report ended with a note, recovery unsuccessful, site sealed. So how the hell did it end up in a storage unit? I started asking around. Quietly, I posted a few questions on forums. Nothing too specific. Just looking for people familiar with surplus auctions or military repos. One user, username, D3BR1F, messaged me back. If it's 7B, walk away. It failed the Arizona test in 2009. You don't want it. Let it sleep. That was all they said. Then their account vanished. The next morning, I went back to the unit. Gone. Not the unit. It was there. But the vehicle, the crates, the tarp, gone. The floor had fresh dust marks, like tires had been dragged. The binder, still with me, but everything else, like it was never there. I asked the facility manager. She told me nobody else had been on site, that no one could have gotten in. I showed her the security footage. It was blank. That entire hour, just black screen. Then it resumes like nothing happened. So here's where I'm at. I spent $600 on a storage unit and uncovered something the government probably never wanted seen again. I don't know how it got there. I don't know who put it there. And I definitely don't know who took it. But the weirdest part, last night, I got a text from an unknown number. No message. Just a link. I clicked it. It opened my camera, then closed itself. Now my phone won't power on. All I have left is this binder, some shaky GoPro footage, and 100 questions that'll probably never be answered. Was it really a military prototype? Or was I used as part of a test? One thing's for sure. I'm done with government-marked storage units. Probably. I stood there staring at the crate on my porch, heart pounding like a drumline. It was the exact same shade of matte military green as the prototype box we found inside the unit. Same reinforced steel corners. Same impossible-to-break latches. But this one was new. It hadn't been covered in years of dust. It looked deliberate, like someone wanted me to see it. The stenciled letters across the front read, "Returned, incomplete mission." I had no idea what that meant. But the fact that it had no sender, no paperwork, and somehow bypassed all my security cameras sent chills through me. I debated whether to open it at all. Part of me wanted to throw it in the back of my truck and drive it straight to the nearest army base. Another part, the reckless, storage hunting part, wanted to crack it open right there on the driveway. Curiosity won. I geared up, just in case. Gloves, flashlight, crowbar, phone recording everything. I cracked the latches one by one. The crate hissed when I opened it, as if pressure had built up inside. A faint metallic scent drifted out, mixed with something strange, like ozone and motor oil. Inside was another layer of protection, shock-resistant foam, precisely carved. And nestled into that foam was something I couldn't immediately identify. It looked like a helmet, but not one I'd ever seen before, not even in C5 films. Sleek, black, minimal. No visible visor, no straps. Just a single red light pulsing faintly at the temple. I touched it. The red light blinked once, then went solid. Suddenly, my phone screen went black. Every device in the house powered down. Silence. No humming fridge. No ticking clock. Just my shallow breath and the faint click of that red light. I set the helmet down. The moment I let go, everything came back on. Phone restarted. Lights flickered. The dog barked from inside. Whatever that helmet was, it wasn't just for show. Inside the crate was a folder, laminated and sealed. I opened it. There were 2 pages. The first was a heavily redacted military report. I could barely read anything, but one line stood out in bold. Unredacted type. Prototype Series EB4. Autonomous command interface. Must not fall into civilian hands. Too late for that. The second page was a map, an aerial view of what looked like a remote desert compound. Coordinates written in bold ink along the margin. And next to the map, scribbled in handwriting that didn't match the rest, "If you found the helmet, you're already part of the mission. Don't go alone." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I did something reckless. I drove to the location. It was 4 hours deep into the Arizona desert, miles from the nearest paved road. No cell service, no GPS signal, just me, the map, and a growing sense that I was being watched. As I pulled up to the coordinates, I expected to find ruins, or maybe a fenced-off area. Instead, I found nothing, just open ground. I stepped out, walked around, and then my foot hit something metallic. I dug. An inch beneath the surface was a trapdoor, reinforced with cold steel and a keypad. No visible hinges. Just that eerie hum again, like whatever was below wasn't entirely dormant. I didn't have a code, but I did have the helmet. I placed it gently on the pad, like some kind of offering. The moment it touched, the red light flashed, and the keypad clicked open. The hatch groaned. Inside, stairs, leading into pitch darkness. This wasn't just about a lost prototype anymore. This was bigger, deeper, and I was already too far in to walk away. So I descended.